Test is tomorrow. So here's the first proof I want to work through. I'm going to do 2. There should be 1 on each side. And then I have 4 other ones written that you can practice and we can discuss and look at and check. I think if you can do the 6 proofs we do today, then you're going to be super set for tomorrow's test, in my opinion. Okay? Then you might miss some points on that part of the test. I don't know. There are 4 questions on the written part. There are 4 questions written on the written part. Do you want to let me finish?
So these are 25% of the whole grade.
So half.
Yeah.
I'm prepared to explain every part of it. Huh? She keeps.
Oh, can we do that?
There are 4 questions. Okay. The written part's 50%. Okay. So 2 of the questions I already gave you. Okay. And I highly recommend you practice them and turn it in and say, is this right? Because it's not that hard once you know how to do it. Would you agree over there? Yeah. Because you guys showed me yesterday. You were the only group that showed me. And it's still hard? Okay. And then there are 2 proofs that you have to write out, and there might be proofs on the online version. So half of your 50% written part is proofs. So 25% of the grade is the written proofs.
Can you assign that quizzes on Google Classroom? So what everything did?
Sure, if you'd like.
How much questions is the online one?
It's like typical. I want to say 20, 25.
What is it about?
It's fair game of anything that you've done online. Okay. No, from that chapter. You absolutely can get partial credit for proofs. Absolutely. Absolutely.
How harshly are you grading the proofs? Like, let's say we leave out something or we add too much.
The weird thing about proofs is you can never have too much in them.
Like, what if you're totally wrong there?
But still, they
just extra information.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just add all the information I have.
Yeah, literally, I'll just put all the every single property there.
So like this one that's on the board, we talked about how some kids would start just naming off everything they could, like that AC is congruent to AC. Okay, I think it's just gonna eat up your time, and I'll give you a hint that you probably won't say like on this one BC is congruent to BC. Now it jumps out at me. I don't know if it jumps out at you, but I bet you $1 million that we're going to say DC is congruent to DC at some point. Okay, so just saying DC is congruent to DC, you're going to get some points. Okay. 25% for 2 of them. So
12.5 points.
12.5 points.
Oh, I don't prove this.
So why don't we go ahead and work on it? Okay. So absolutely get tools because you have to do constructions. Okay, so here we need to prove. So first, I think I kind of like to work backwards myself. First off, I always like to ask myself, what do I need to prove? So C, A, B. So this triangle here, I got to prove that that triangle is congruent to D, F, E.
I didn't even know that was a triangle.
Any 3 points will create a triangle. Okay, so right off the bat, I have parallel lines, and I have this transversal. So I'm going to go ahead I'm going to go crazy and I'm going to jump in and say, I know I need to show that those are congruent. Okay. Let's map it out and then write it up. So I need to do that. So now I have an angle. I already have this angle.
And then the sides are parallel.
Parallel sides don't mean that they're congruent.
We could say that EF
Okay.
and AB are parallel.
Say again.
EF and AB are parallel.
Right. We'll say at some point that those are parallel, and that causes us to get these congruent angles because the alternate interior angles are congruent.
So here the angle BAC is congruent to DFE because the other angles are all the same and the other angles on there have the little mark thing and they're equal.
Say that one more time.
Angle BAC.
BAC.
So that,
You want to say that this is congruent to this?
yeah.
Now, I would agree if I think we can do that if we have all of the 180, but we don't know from that.
But can't we say that all triangles add up to 180 degrees and that if that the other two angles are
Congruent.
congruent, then that other one has to be congruent?
Absolutely, we can do that.
Or we could
But
say
let me
that
ask, so we can do, hold pause, but we can do that, but then that would give us what? Which is not one.
Oh.
Angle, angle, angle?
It's not, it sounds like you're just.
Didn't we prove that angle, angle, angle wasn't?
Because you can have the triangle can be
Every
angles.
two angles.
You never told
We
us-
proved that it's not one. We created one that was this big, and then the same angles, we created one this big.
Oh, yeah, that one.
Kind of making me want to cry right now.
Sorry. Is it the orange?
Yeah.
Can we solve this using HL?
We could use HL if we get the sides. Dalton?
Can we say that triangle ACD is congruent to CDF?
If we do that, if we prove that this triangle is congruent to that triangle,
And we can do AS.
then we would get sides. Okay?
Because this and that, that's it. Like, and then there's two right, them writing right there and the writing right there, so
Mhm.
the angle,
That's fine.
and then see, yeah.
Okay, good. Let's do it. So when I wrote this, I thought that we would have to prove these two triangles congruent, but if you can figure out another way that's easier, then you should do that, right? But I think we have to prove these triangles congruent, then we can say their parts are congruent, and then that'll help us prove the other ones, okay? So let's start by proving one is congruent to angle, or triangle one is congruent to triangle two. So statement.
Are we gonna have to create a flow proof?
I'll never ask you to do a flow proof. I don't. Huh? I'll show you what a flow proof is.
But I already talked about it,
Yeah.
but then like.
Yeah.
I don't have, yes, you can go.
All
All right, so let's start by saying angle DAC is congruent to angle DAC CFD, and that's given. So I just said that that's congruent to that. Okay. I don't know how much this bugs you, but we're gonna be using angle, side. Okay. So do you want to do them in order of angle, side? It doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah. You could put
All right, Bertie,
angle
solve that.
ACB.
ACD is, let's do this, is 90 degrees. How do we know that?
Oh, supplementary angle.
Good. Supplement your angles.
And then angle FCD. No,
No.
FDC is 90 degrees. How do we know that? Supplementary angles. ACD. What would that reason be?
Wait, what does it say? ACD is equal to FDC?
Mhm.
That's,
Definition of a right angle.
Close.
definition of perpendicular line.
No.
Perpendicular bisector.
Nope.
I don't even know what I'm looking at. I don't even know what I'm reading.
Is it
Constitution,
definition of,
right angles. That's what it said.
Definition of
congruent
congruent.
angles?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
No, I was close, that makes sense. And
So if you have an angle that's 90 degrees and another angle that's 90 degrees, by definition of congruent angles, they're congruent to each other.
I thought that's the supplement.
We use supplementary because this is a line and lines add up to 180. So this, say that again. Aren't they? You need to be more specific. I don't know who they are. So first we said that they're 90 degrees, right? And we did that so then we could say that well, if this is 90 degrees and this is 90 degrees, then they're equal or congruent by definition of congruent angles.
Is that the same thing that we're doing for supplementary?
For supplementary angles, we're saying that this angle and this angle add up to 180.
And it could be like, that's what they just said. Yeah, but in this case, are they like the same amount?
They. I'm not sure who they are. You gotta be more specific.
No, never mind.
DC is congruent.
Okay, so now we have a DC is congruent to DC. And usually I think you'll see it as DC is congruent to CD. I don't like to write it that way, but did you see that on online?
That's
And that-
because it like goes down and then back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that means triangle.
ACD is congruent to FDC.
So I heard two different ways. ACD is congruent to triangle FDC. You could write it any way as long as these are matching. Angle, side.
and then you can do DF is congruent to A.
Okay, hold on one second.
Oh, wait, no. What, which one?
Oh my gosh, honey.
Why?
Every time I move over, she moves forward. Every time I
Okay,
move
so
back.
there's another one. What do you mean?
He's struggling.
What? No, I'm sorry.
Hold on one second. Pause.
So I was gonna say, now that we know that, can we say that DF equals
Absolutely. DF
See, I'll say that.
is congruent to C. This is getting feisty. What's the reason? I think I'm gonna design a T-shirt. How many of us would want a cats, puppies, cats, turtles, cats shirt?
No, not that. Just CPC.
Okay. Well, we'll see. I've got some ideas.
I wouldn't wear it.
You wouldn't wear it?
Because whenever I get shirts from like the school site, they made of like weird users.
Well, we can get them on nice shirts.
Just make a
This shirt.
Okay.
What's the difference?
Supplementary is 180. Complimentary is 90.
We can make it like an
So complimentary is two angles that add up to 90.
So now we can go triangle. DEF.
This is your time.
Can we hurry up? I want to learn.
Okay, so now we know, I like to write on this that is congruent to that.
Now we can make the triangles equal to each other.
Okay, so we can say that angle, yeah, EDF is congruent to BCF.
WCA.
BCA, thank you. Give. I would almost say given.
It is good.
It is good. They're both like grand.
Yes, Rachel.
Can we put?
No
CF
thumping,
equals
please.
AD?
Say again.
Can we put CF equals AD real quick?
CF.
Did we already put that?
We don't need to know that CF is congruent
Yeah,
to.
but like, what's that matter? 'Cause I wanna put N.
No.
Don't miss something.
You don't need it.
So
Don't
I'll
care.
tell you.
You can write it by
You can write CF is congruent to AD. That'll get you no points.
I don't care.
Okay. I'm not going to write it down because I know, and I think we all know that we don't need that.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you put it on, it's not wrong. Okay. That was your question earlier, right? Yeah, it's not wrong to do that. Yeah. Okay. So
Oh, wait.
it's like saying, you know, did you go trick or treating last night? Yeah. Were your car windows up?
I took 5
So-
kids.
It's not relevant.
It was
Yeah.
There's another angle that's congruent. It's DFE.
D
Wait. No. DEF
D
is
E F.
congruent to CBA.
We have that.
No, we don't.
Where?
We literally have that. You just put it in.
We don't have it.
It's right above it.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but we wrote it
The
in.
middle letter is what the angle is.
This right here is this one here is the 90-degree angle.
Especially when you're wrong.
Hold on. Hey guys, be nice. This is that angle. This is that angle. Now, I marked it on here as congruent, but we never set it. So that's the dangerous thing of a road map, right? It says on the map we should turn left. Did we turn left? I don't remember if we turned left or not. Okay.
We turned left here.
It because we did a U-turn.
So here's the careful thing about given. Someone will, I promise you, will say, I know that was given, the mark's there. But I'll say, what color is that mark? It's red. What color is my pen? So it's not given if you make the mark. It's not supplementary.
I put it into it.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It's alternate
Well,
interior angles.
raise your hand.
We're in high school.
Yes, we're not in high school.
Yeah, we are.
Maybe
We're doing
in
high school math, so that means we're in high school.
High school literature.
He said he put it in.
Okay, but that doesn't mean we're in high school.
Rachel, just
Where are
like,
these classes?
you know, they're lost.
So triangle DEF is congruent to triangle CBA. Oh, you know what? I lied. I don't want to say that. I want to say whatever's right here. Okay, I want to mimic that exactly. Even though it's the same triangle. Do I need to say that again? I want to say whatever it said to prove.
Oh.
Okay, I want to leave that as my last line.
Wait, we're done?
And
We're
that is-
done.
that
With
is
this one.
What's the?
Side.
Wait, never mind.
Angle.
Side angle.
We don't. They don't do angle side or side angle. So if you wrote side angle, I might take off
But why does it matter? Because the order just flipped. Because it's the same.
because we don't technically. I don't know.
Because look,
would
side
be
angle,
side.
angle, side.
Angle
It's
side,
literally
it would be
side.
angle side.
What number is that I just wrote?
A negative
15.
What number is that?
5.
Does the order matter?
Well, that's
Yes.
different. That's no. That's
Why? Why does it matter?
Because that's numbers.
Because we said that this is the way you write it, and this is not the way you write it. So therefore, this is the way you write it.
Then
Okay.
how come it's like A minus instead of like minus A?
Doesn't really matter.
Not relevant. Windows. I don't care if your windows are up or not.
What?
So
Isn't it?
that is that proof. Yeah.
Yeah. But we all failed, then do we really fail?
Yeah.
So is this gonna be like similar to the one on the test like this?
I'll tell you what. The 6 that we get today,
Are they gonna be the exact same?
No. But if you can do the 6 that I gave you today, I'll tell you what, none of the reasons, if we do all the reasons that we do on these, none of the reasons, there won't be any reasons that don't show up here.
So why did we prove that for that one, why did we prove that those triangles are equal?
So that we could,
E, F, and
In the
AC
future.
are congruent to that side.
Oh,
and that's 90% of the time that you prove this triangle so you can get the parts of it. Okay.
If we get back grade in the class, we're gonna ask, we can take out, and then like.
If you fail the class, you just have to retake it next year. You can't get out. You're stuck.
Fail it, it will be easier because
Don't
you
even
know
know
it.
But then if you know everything next year.
Not unless
they
you
put you in
purposefully
next
fail
class,
it.
Like,
I'm sorry?
but if you get, like, you already know everything, you retake it, like, you're good.
Triangle FBC.
You get to go to-
is congruent to
The lowest grade I have, and nobody's gonna fail this class.
What if we
I'm not the
purposefully
first
try?
triangle.
Okay, what if my parents like tell me you have to take it?
I've got the first triangle.
How about we just do this one proof and then you can, at lunchtime, tell me all your fears and dreams and anxiety. Okay, ABF. So this triangle here is ABF is congruent to EDG. So that's our goal, is to show that those two are congruent. I can say, I'm going to be able to say that this angle is congruent to that angle. Okay, so I'll be able to do that.
Because of what?
Because of supplementary angles. Because it's sub angles.
It's not something.
It's not.
It is.
They're both 90 degrees.
Yeah, but it is. So then it's supplementary.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Okay.
I think what we'll end up saying is that this is 90 degrees
Yeah.
and that this is 90 degrees. So
Yeah.
therefore they're congruent.
And then, can't we prove that the other two triangles are congruent
Hmm.
somehow?
So we'll prove that this is congruent to that,
Yeah.
and that'll give us this side is congruent to that side.
And then you
And
get,
those two are
and then there's-
parallel.
and then you have to do BD is congruent to BD. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Because of the perpendicular bisector.
Okay,
And
well,
that makes AB is congruent to BD because of the perpendicular bisector. So AB is congruent to BD. And then you get side and side.
that's the hardest part of what he just said. So I'll show it to you when we get there. Okay. So let's just start. Let's just start driving. So we're going to prove these two triangles are congruent. So first I'm going to say angle FBC is congruent to angle GDC. And that was given.
Do the parallel lines have any effect on this?
There's no parallel lines marked on
Yeah,
this.
there are. They give it to you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right there.
Interesting.
Right where it's pencil is.
Yeah, they need
Oh.
the pen.
Yeah, I don't think that does.
Where's the utensil
I don't-
is?
That's
So we
okay.
don't need to prove the triangle then. Okay. It's given.
No.
Let's just keep going here. So then triangle, or I'm sorry, BC is congruent to DC. That's given. So we'll have an angle, a side, and we'll need what?
Angle.
We're going to get this angle how?
Vertical angles.
Vertical angles are congruent. Angle FCB is congruent to GCD.
Can't you get the other angles too because of alternate interior angles?
And you wouldn't need to prove, you wouldn't need to prove.
No thumping,
ABS.
please. So
Yeah, you could use the other angle as well.
you could get this angle here because we know that these are parallel. Okay.
So there's probably another way to solve it.
There's a parallel.
So we could have done angle side. Okay. So you could have a different proof than me and still have it completely right.
Mr. O'Connell, are we ever gonna say that, B plus C, BC plus BC is equal to like ED or
Yes.
BD?
Yes. Kind of. Okay. Triangle FBC is congruent to triangle. Thank you. And I'm gonna warn you. See what I did here? What was my mistake on this one? Okay, so you might lose some points for that.
What if we don't catch it?
If I don't catch it, then is it a crime if you don't get caught?
Yeah.
Yes, it is, because you still robbed a bank.
So after you get the test back, which I never give them back, but after you get it back, if you say, hey, I didn't put this triangle on here, you should have taken off points. I go, okay, thank you, I'll take it.
I remember Miss McCarthy didn't grade the whole back of my test and I got like 4 wrong. She goes, oh, it's okay, whatever.
She sounds like a nice person.
She is a nice.
She is nice.
So we get angle side angle is our reason that those triangles are congruent. So now I can say that, so we're going to end up doing, okay, FB to DG. I thought it was so weird that online it was COP.
Yeah, it was
It
really
was
weird.
every single word.
Which is really weird because in the book it's CPCTC.
No,
So
that was only on the.
That was only on that one
It was only
problem.
one problem.
No,
Yeah,
it's two. Wait, yeah, it was no problem.
did you guys see that?
No.
Okay, so in the online there was one question where the choice was COP. Wait, no,
They were all
CPO. Corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent.
really weird.
So that, if you see that choice, just know that it's getting at that.
If we read that, would we be wrong?
No.
It's spot.
Are you gonna waste more time then?
For the reasons, if you don't put like if you just put vertical angles instead of vertical angles or congruent, would you still get it right?
I'll be very generous with how you put these. Okay, so if you just said vertical angles, you'll get away with it. On that last one, I don't know, did I write out alternate interior angles of parallel lines are congruent? I didn't write that out, so I'll be kind of forgiving on that. Okay, so now we have our side. Let's go ahead and say that angle ABF is 90 degrees. And that angle EDG is 90 degrees. And what allows us to say that? Supplementary angles. Okay. And then that allows us to say that angle ABF is congruent to EDG. Why?
Give us a moment and we'll figure it out.
Back to the other page.
Because they're both 90.
Definition of congruent angles.
I think this one.
Okay.
Look the page that was there.
Reversing.
Okay, so we got 2 angles.
Because it gives you what it was in the invitation.
All right, so a lot of the times, the proofs that we do don't have all this writing, okay? So now we got to pay attention to this writing. So BF is a perpendicular bisector of AD, okay? So BF of AD. So that means that AD is cut in half by this. So that means that this chunk here is congruent to that chunk there.
Yeah, that's what I was.
Oh my gosh.
So
So what do we say? We say that
And then also it says that this is the bisector of this and this. So if I can say that this is congruent to this,
Then I can say that that is congruent to that because of.
and then I can say that's congruent to that, by definition of perpendicular bisector.
No, it's A equals B, then B equals C, then C equals A, that is
Transitive?
Transitive? No, it's not.
No, it's not.
This is congruent to that, and that is congruent to that.
It's the one
Very
with two.
specific.
So it's not reflexive, it's not.
Reflexive.
What are we
No.
talking
No,
about?
it's not.
Did you already decide what it was?
Segment.
I-
addition,
It's transitive, right? Okay.
It is transitive?
Yeah.
What?
AB is
I didn't say crap.
AB is congruent to BD. How do I know that AB is congruent to BD? By definition of perpendicular bisector. I'm going to use that again to say that BD is congruent to DE. Actually, I want to say ED. For the same reason. So then I'm allowed to say that AB is congruent to ED.
How are you allowed to?
Because of I'll pick a word.
Isn't that transitive?
Yeah.
Transitive, but what's the one where it's only two, like A equals
But this
B?
isn't.
Hold on, pause. There's too many questions going on. What's up?
Okay, so there's reflexive, which is A equals A, and then there's transitive, which is saying that A equals B, B equals C, and A equals C. What's the one in the, there's another one.
There's another one that says if
A
equals B,
then
then
B
B
is
is
A. Yeah, then B is
That's
A.
substitution.
it is substitution.
No,
We'll look at the quiz as soon as we're done with this, and that'll answer that question. Okay? And so, Mark, did you get it?
Because
Okay. So, I think it might be easier to see with shape. So, this one right here is the same as this. Okay? So, this is the same as that. So then if I say that I'm equal to Mark and Mark's equal to Brody, then I'm equal to Brody.
Wait, that's AB and then A.
If AB is.
So then these two are congruent.
If BD is congruent to ED, then AB is congruent to ED.
So I ran out of room, but my final, and I'll make sure that you have plenty of space for these on the test. But my final statement then will be by the triangle ABF. Gosh, I can't write anymore. By side, angle, side. We feeling a little bit better there, Thumper?
Wasn't it?
I feel much better.
Wasn't it? I feel
You're not the thumper. I
What?
feel less.
No, that was.
I feel worse.
We have to figure out the inner triangle.
Okay, so tomorrow, I never studied.
I studied
Done.
like in Sophie, I never studied, that's why I got a C.
Really highly advised to do the first two questions and get them checked. Not on this, I'm talking about the first two questions on the written part that I've already told you the question.
Can I work?
on the left. On the
Remember I told you that you got to prove that two triangles, or construct two congruent triangles and explain to me how you know they're congruent.
I gotta do the second one, because I have no.
And the second one was construct a proof that shows that angle side is not a postulate. You're acting like you
Are
don't
you gonna
remember
be
me having
here
this
at 8
conversation.
o'clock?
She doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna come in early. A, B, E, A, C.
I will, if I have time, maybe do a couple of these proofs and post them online. Okay?
No.